Welcome back, everybody. As Quickshot and I are joined here by Alex Ish. Alex, going into that matchup, we had 4 mid lane bans, and we got some interesting stuff. Tell us what happened.
So, I don't really remember about the ban pick phase. Is it working?
Yes.
Okay. It is now.
So, I don't really remember about ban pick phase. I think we wanted to have our bot lane rolling, so mostly we focused Creaton and Jerry as the most carry lane of their team. And we banned out something else, let me remember.
LeBlanc, Caitlyn, Thresh.
Oh yeah, LeBlanc. LeBlanc influence, I think, the most out of all his mid laners. So we decided that we don't want to play against that hero. And they banned Ziggs. I don't know why. Kassadin and Kha'Zix. And I would say Kassadin and Kha'Zix is kind of obvious because they don't play Kassadin and they ban him every game, and they banned Kha'Zix against me. And I picked Lulu because Faker approved it. And
you were the first to do it in LCS.
Yeah, I knew that because OGN starts later than LCS, and I will be the first picking it, even if I played bad that week. But I played around 100 games in solo queue as Lulu after that week, so I play much better now.
Talk to me about the Swain lock-in. We've seen it coming up from Millennium. It was an interesting matchup. What's your take on that pick?
I don't really know what Swain does. I played against him a couple of times in solo queue. I would say it's the same as usual lane as Lulu. You just stay farm, wait your items, wait blue buff, and then outscale him. That's what happened. Like I started outscaling him and then got 2 turrets and got like whole map under my control.
So what about the other picks then? We saw the Aatrox coming in, a little bit of a revival there. We saw him last week as well. Where did Darian go from this time?
So Darian plays Aatrox sometimes. He likes that hero. And we knew that it's Alice top mode because we don't believe in Kevin's Lee Sin top. And that's why Darian decided that Aatrox will be good against Alice.
Explain to me a little bit of the game flow. It seemed to be quite chaotic. You guys were getting kills, running around. There was lots of action all the time. Was that the game plan, or did it happen because there was a little bit of miscommunication? What's the reasoning?
So the reason was because we got almost all the turrets. At least we got 2 mid lane turrets really early. So we got like nothing to do. So because I'm Lulu, I was just running around the map trying to find kills and found them sometimes.
Yeah, because when you guys engaged in the fights in the beginning, it was kind of messy, but then it got better, and we actually got to replay one of those fights.
Yeah, we've actually got to replay. It's a dragon fight at about 28 minutes. Let's pull that replay up on your screen right now. Now, talk me through what exactly happened, because you kind of stood staring down the barrel for a little while. Let's start this replay now and tell me what was going on in Gambit's mind.
So I don't have ultimate, so I wanted to wait it. We don't want to play 50-50, so we wanted to disengage. They decided to try and steal Drake from us. We almost one-shot RNI there. Leona jumps into me, so I just run away and peel for my team. And then we just start chasing them and killing them one by one. So I Glitter Lance, Lee Sin, then flash over the stun of Swain, and he can't run away from us.
So is that how you wanted those team fights to go out? I mean, when you look at your composition, is that exactly what you wanted to do in certain situations? So
the most easy thing to do against their lineup is just to wait for them to engage and then counter-engage and just kill them, because Evelyn's ultimate is super OP when you play like that. Lulu's ulti is OP, and if they don't focus me, I just save the target they try to focus.
How important to your team composition was the Manamune on Aatrox?
So Darian decided that Manamune will give him mana, but then when he tried it, it didn't, so he was upset.
Trying to get the 3rd resource. He didn't have his swag pants on, but he had swag in-game. Let's take a step out of the game for a little bit. We've seen, I think, 2 weeks ago, Edward's saying on Facebook that he's going to the gaming house in Kiev alone. What's the game plan been? Is Gambit still looking into going to the gaming house, boot camping? Talk to me a little bit about that.
So after this week, we are going to the gaming house, because in 2 weeks, I think. Oh, not after this week, but after the next week, because we don't go back home after this week at all, because this weekend's at Friday and the next starts at Tuesday. And then we go to the gaming house for 1 week. Then we go to Katowice. Then, I don't really remember, but I think we go to gaming house back because finals is near.
Too far ahead for planning.
Yeah.
Busy times in either case, and tomorrow, big matchup again. You're going up against Fnatic. You guys started their losing streak. How do you think tomorrow's matchup is going to go?
So I think if Fnatic wins, they break their curse where it started. But if we win, then I hope we win.
All right, well, thank you very much. Congratulations, Alex. And now we're going to go back over to D&D for our next match.
Thank you very much, Shocks and Quickshot. Wasn't sure who they were interviewing, whether it was Alex Hitch, whether it was Ian Brown from Stone Roses, or maybe just Shaggy from Scooby-Doo. Who knows what he's looking like at the moment. A bit of a goatee going on or something, I'm not too sure. Anyway, let's get on to the game, shall we? Coming up now, it is the ROC, the #1 team in the LCS, up against the Copenhagen Wolves. And this is the third time that these teams have met on the Rift. And currently, it is all tied at 1-1, with Wolves winning out in week 1. And of course, ROC taking the game in week 5. And last week, ROC, well, they went 1-1 as they took down Gambit in pajamas. But then they dropped a game against SK Gaming, and they did not look close to winning it.
They didn't, but the win against Gambit, that was expected. We have to say like this. I mean, ROC, they weren't pointing in that game. They dealt with the very strong early game from Gambit's side, and then we have Celavar and Overpower. They didn't even die the entire game. Sasus, however, he was having some issues against Soul Zero, and then later on Nuke Dog in the split push, and he actually ended up dying. But simply due to ROC being so far ahead, it didn't matter too much, and they managed to win the game anyhow. The game against SK Gaming, though, that didn't look like ROC at all. They played very risky. They started some early dragons with everyone alive on SK Gaming side and very weak vision control from Rocket side. And also they picked some wrong team fights that simply gave SK Gaming the lead. And every lane, they were behind in CS. So once they actually got behind, they couldn't stop SK from pushing down turrets. And Rocket, they lost on 24 minutes and 16 seconds. That was the fastest game we've had in the LCS.
Yeah, we also saw SK Gaming last week possibly unlocking the key to beating this ROC team. And now what they did was they banned out Lucian, and then they picked Caitlyn, taking away Celavar's 2 main champions.
Yeah, they simply forced him onto Ezreal, and despite him picking up First Blood, it seems to really hurt Rocket a lot. They didn't have the wave clear from Caitlyn we normally see on Celavar. We have to say though, Celavar for me, he's a kind of weird AD carry because he's been one of the best AD carries if you look at the stats. He's second in the entire EU LCS KDA-wise, he's third in gold per minute, and he's been very consistent on both Caitlyn and Lucian, but we haven't seen him directly go in and carry the games for Rocket side. And also because Rocket, they focus more on other players to make the job more or less. And then you have Celavar just focusing on staying mid lane, pushing down the minion waves and pushing down the turrets.
And of course, the Copenhagen Wolves, well, they went 2-0 last week, beating out Millennium and Fnatic, and they appear to be fixing their decision-making problems.
It really showed last week how much Wolves have practiced shot calling and decision-making in general, because they managed to get this very early lead against Fnatic, and that's where we've seen them in the past losing it, but this time around they simply pressured down every single lane, and they gave Fnatic no chance of a comeback. And amazing, he was the MVP of the week, and especially the game versus Fnatic was a big reason for that, because every single gank he did resulted in a kill, and he was constantly making plays. And amazing for me, he is the player who's been involved in the most kills in both EU and NA LCS with 81%. He's having great stats on Lee Sin with 5 wins and 1 loss, and his KDA in week 6 was amazing. It was 23. That is honestly what I call a real MVP.
Yeah, and we saw, of course, his move last week.
Yes,
the LCS big play, just doing the Lee Sin, just the catch on towards. It was Peke, wasn't it? Peke rounded, kicked Yellow Star around straight into the tower.
Beautiful.
Fantastic stuff. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It's online all over the place. Of course, the bot lane for the Copenhagen Wolves, well, they've looked impressive as well. Forgiven and Unlimited, who didn't decide to pick Karma this week, thank God.
Yeah,
last week.
All in all, Unlimited and Forgiven, they look fantastic. We have to say it as it is. Wolves, luckily for, at least from the viewer's side, they have decided to move away from Karma and gone on to these hard engaged supports like Leona. Unlimited, he was very good on it. And we have talked earlier on how they always seem to like hard engage. And that was one of the reasons they couldn't really start the fights. We had these very long games from Copenhagen Wolves' side when they ended up losing it. And then also, it really helps when you have an AD carry like Forgiven, who's just an absolute monster. He pulled out at 12 kills, 0 deaths, 8 assists in 2 games. That is what I call a very, very nice score. And also he got the CS record against Millennium. He got to the point where he had 6 items, he sold his boots, and he was just carrying that game.
Yeah, it was like 638 CS or something.
Completely.
Only just outdone, by the way, by EasyHoon this morning on the OGN Masters. So he got 700 and something, something ridiculous in about 70 minutes. So what do we make of these 2 bottom lanes? I mean, let's compare the 2 bottom lanes of the 2 teams, the Celavar and Vanderlife, we've been calling him lately because he's been doing some mad life hooks, and of course they're up against the likes of Forgiven Unlimited.
I see Forgiven and Unlimited as a very, very aggressive bot lane. They want to really go for the kills, where the Rocket bot lane, they're happy just farming away, getting the starting items onto Celavar so he can start doing his more or less wave clear, pushing down turrets job. And then obviously Vanda, once you get to team fights, you want to make the big plays. So it's kind of different style. With the bot lane from Copenhagen Wolves, they want to get kills early, they want to get Forgiven going. Unlimited, he's one of the supports giving up most first bloods and deaths in general because they are so aggressive. And people know that, so they move down the jungler and they kill him. For me, all in all, if Rocket can punish Unlimited and Forgiven for being very aggressive, they will get the edge. If not, then I can actually see Copenhagen Wolves winning the bot lane.
Well, it's one of the lanes we're going to have to keep our eyes on. Of course, the Copenhagen Wolves definitely have a tough match in front of them. And for some insight into how Rocket might have prepared for this one, let's send it over to Joe, who's standing by with the team's coach.
Thank you very much, guys, and thanks, Veggie, for joining us here. First of all, I want to talk about last week. A bit of a mixed week for Roccat. Obviously, you beat the Gambit in Pyjamas, Gambit with substitutes, but then you went on to lose against SK Gaming. Talk to me how that went from your perspective as coach.
Well, honestly, I think the team last week was a bit rusty because we had a bit of break and Jankus was a bit sick. So for me, I actually think Gambit played pretty well against us, and our early game was extremely lacking. That showed versus SK, just we had to take much more risks, for example at Dragon, which shouldn't happen if we were on an equal playing ground, and SK, they practiced a lot, we were a bit rusty, so we lost, and they played well, kudos to them.
So how did that affect your preparation this week coming into week 7, and what's your role in day-to-day operations and your role coming into a match like this?
Well, I basically do everything with the team. I know everything they do in game, all the communications. I'm on every scrim. I made up a schedule with my manager. This week, we tried to implement it. I wanted to try some new things this week, but since the team was still rusty from last week, this week we just laid everything down how it was before, and we're going to try some new communication methods this week that's upcoming now. So this week was just us getting back into form, and I hope we can show that against the Copenhagen Wolves.
So what about the match against the Copenhagen Wolves? I mean, how hard have you focused on this match in particular? They, of course, went 2-0 last week. They beat you guys at the start of the season as well. How's this one going to be different?
To be honest, I think the team has finally gotten used to playing the Copenhagen Wolves. I mean, we've met a couple times in the amateur scene. I was with the team already back then. I've been telling the team the same things every game. Copenhagen Wolves like to rotate a lot. They like to swap a lot. The team should know this. If they, again, get caught out by these mechanics, well, I'll be extremely mad and I'll have to come down pretty hard on the team. But I'm expecting a win here, and I hope the team can finally win an early game, which they haven't been able to do since like the first weeks.
Well, thank you very much, Veggie. Good luck against the Copenhagen Wolves. We're going to head back up to Demon and Deficio, though, to get into the game.
Thank you very much, Joe, and fantastic words from Veggie there. So great to see an ex-player, of course, moving into that coaching role, and more importantly, the players listening to those ex-players.
They really do, and I know for a fact he's one of them doing the picks and bans in general for them. And I like the fact they have this sixth person coming in with some insight, because when you see the game from upstairs, when you see it down, you see the playing, you can see a lot of mistakes that people don't see themselves when they're actually playing. You're smiling.
I'm not going to mention a thing there, Deficio, don't worry. Didn't work out quite for you, did it?
No.
Even though these teams are far apart in the standings, they are still 1-1 against each other. The Wolves are going in to be paying special attention to their mid-game, and of course, with the players on both sides of the Rift favouring the same champions, picks and bans will be the key to victory.
This week I'm looking forward to play against Copenhagen Wolves because we are 1-1 with them.
Last game against them we did get ahead, but we did not coordinate our mid game properly, and we did some bad calls and we started dropping behind.
I think when they get a lead they don't know what to do to close the game, and they are in rush or in hurry and they make just mistakes.
The whole thing with our mid game and our calls is the main thing we're working on right now.
Myślę, że lepiej zagramy na cylu niż w zeszłym tygodniu i wygramy pewnie.
Junkus is definitely one of the better junglers in the LCS right now. However, I think Amazing is just a little bit stronger.
Of course, we both like to play Lee Sin and Allies, so I think we are going to see bans on Allies or Lee Sin. And if not, they are going to be picked for sure.
Vander is arguably the best Thresh in LCS right now. I used to be a good Thresh too, so I've been practicing a bit. Maybe if it goes good in scrims, then I might pick it myself.
Yeah, Thresh is one of the best supports, so he will obviously be contested.
Well, beating the highest ranked team is always a bigger feat, so I like it.
We are going to prove that we are stronger than Copenhagen Wolves by just stomping them. Like no mercy this week.
And it's true between these two teams. The junglers are really important. You know, we highlighted Amazing with his 81%, but we can't underestimate Jankos in this game either.
And we also highlighted him in the past because he's so important. The whole early game relies a lot on him doing some good ganks. And we've seen him on so many different champions, different styles. And he's always doing well.
And they play very similar champions. So we'll see how that one works out. Let's check out those starting lineups. On the blue side, it will be Rocket. And that means that it's going to be Zazas in the top lane, Jankos in the jungle, overpowering the mid lane, a Selavar as the AD carry, and Vanda as support.
And on the red side, we have Copenhagen Wolves with, of course, Youngbuck in the top lane. We have Amazing in the jungle. Kautat is the mid laner. Forgiven on the AD carry. And Unlimited, he's the support.
So, big important pick and ban phase coming up here. What do we expect to see from these two teams?
So, both AD carries, they absolutely love to play both Caitlyn and Lucian. That could be potential ban one, first pick the other one, or at least force the other team to play something different AD carry-wise. We have support-wise Vander. I haven't seen him play Annie, and also Leona. That's two champions we love, or Unlimited loves to play. So potentially Rocket could take one of them away, maybe force him, or take both of them away and force him something else. The Fresh, of course, Unlimited talk about how Vander plays that one, but he doesn't. So it's kind of weird with the support.
Morgana as well.
Morgana is an option. We've seen it as hard engaged counter. And mid lane wise, they both like Six. They both like Gragas. There could be an option here. And obviously top lane, play kind of the same. We've seen Trundle for both, Renekton for both. But also Sasus, he's been moving over to Jax. We could potentially see him pick up Jax again and try and get some good farm, maybe some kills onto Youngbuck.
Well, the bans are coming through thick and fast. We see Renekton and Lee Sin being taken away by Rocket. Meanwhile, Thresh and Elise have been banned out by the Wolves. Final ban for Rocket is Caitlyn.
So that was the Caitlyn. This means they have the option now to first pick Lucian, or Copenhagen Wolves have to ban the way. Put both AD carries on something different. The Renekton ban, I like that they target out Youngbuck to say, Sasus, we believe you can win this lane as long as he doesn't have Renekton. So that's why they banned the way. And Lee Sin, of course, we talked about the stats Amazing have on Lee Sin. Absolutely, I mean, fantastic stats. He's always doing so much early game.
Copenhagen Wolves clearly a little bit put off by that Caitlyn ban. You actually saw concern, I think, straight away on Forgiven's face. Kassadin has been banned out. Will it be the Lucian first pick? Yes, it will.
So smart champ select by Rocket because they forced Copenhagen Wolves into a situation where they either ban Lucian or Kassadin. Of course, you want to go with the Kassadin ban, meaning now we need to see something else from Forgiven's side. Ezreal is the safe pick versus something like a Lucian. You can farm from distance. Jinx could also be an option for him.
Of course, the other lanes available. You know, there's a lot of champions out there. The Annie is available, of course. The Morgana may be even available for Vander, which I think he's going to fall back to. Trundle potentially being thought of here for Youngbuck, along with that Lulu for Kautar.
So we had Lulu left open. Yeah, we should obviously expect it to be in the mid lane. We saw how strong it was. Trundle, it is the fallback champion for Youngbuck when Renekton is gone. Rocket knows this. They must have predicted this in some way, that if we ban this one away, they want to get to Trundle. Maybe they have a counter ready for it, or something they feel can farm against it and be very, very strong, maybe even outscale it. Lulu, though, will be hard for them to deal with because we know how strong Lulu is in the mid game. We know how strong she is in the laning phase. And now we need to see what Kautar can do on it.
So, what will we see? Will we see Jankos heading towards maybe the likes of Pantheon in what do we expect? Lulu was locked in, of course, along with Trundle, but I'm looking towards these two junglers. We just saw Amazing there. There were clear discussions there. Jankos and Amazing, they fight over these jungle picks.
Yeah, Pantheon would most likely be the top tier to get here because he's so good all around. He can do the long-range ganks.
Evelyn, maybe?
Evelyn could also be an option. We have seen it from Jankos in the past. It was actually before the changes, though. We haven't seen it since. But if he's picked up the build from Diamond Procs, getting all the tanky stats, you know, he can be really, really strong on his Evelyn. Also, there's something like Wukong. We saw it on Sugar earlier today, how strong it is. Engage-wise, it looks like it will be the Pantheon, though, which I really, really like if he does log it in.
It's interesting to see the faces of Rocket, because if you've studied these faces, which I tend to do during this pick and ban phase, they're normally laughing and joking during this phase. They are all looking very serious right now.
They definitely want to go in here because they lost to SK last week, so they want to go in, get the win here, get the win tomorrow, and really show they are the best team in Europe. They take away the 6 here, or they take it against Lulu. It is a fairly good matchup for 6. He should be able to do a lot of damage onto Lulu early on.
Up against Faker.
Faker actually won with Ziggs against Lulu in the Masters. And he really showed us how strong Ziggs is. As long as you land the Qs early on, have a lot of damage. We are on 4.2, so Ziggs is slightly nerfed. A bit less damage from his passive early on the auto attack.
His mines are down as well.
And then also his E, his minefield, do 100% damage on the first one before a minion walking in, and then 40% on the next one. So he's wave clear, a little bit touch, but not too much. And obviously Pantheon coming in for Jankos. We know how aggressive he can be and how strong he is on that champion.
Copenhagen Wolves now with two choices. Will it be that jungle champion? Will they be looking to lock down that duo lane? Will this Lulu even be a support? I'm expecting it to be actually the jungler, and of course it's going to be, well, very much insta-lock there for Unlimited on Annie.
And that's a very smart thing Copenhagen Wolves have done with picking up hard engaged supports like someone like Annie or Leona. Very nice this. And here, Nocturne jungle. It is, in my opinion, actually a really good counter to Pantheon, because here's what you can do when you actually start up a gank at level 6. You pop your ultimate, so the screen goes dark for Pantheon, and he won't be able to come in with his Grand Skyfall, because he doesn't know where you are, he doesn't know where to place it. It makes it very hard for him to actually counter gank, which is one of the very strong things from Pantheon. So I like this pickup. Also, later on in the game, Nocturne will be able to duel Pantheon fairly well, and also come in for some counter ganks by himself due to his ultimate having a longer range, or have a long range.
Interesting. Galio being considered as support. We did see N-Rated playing this for SK game before to great success. It was the only showing, though, as a support. So Vander, who does often go with those skill shot champions, it will be changed around. Hello. What?
Could potentially be LeBlanc top for Xaxus. We have seen it before.
Of course, yes.
Source played it. I know Source Zero plays it as well in the Challenger series. So it could potentially be this one against Trundle. And also, okay, of course, Morgana support against this hard engage combo. Pop it onto whoever you think Annie's actually going to go for.
Wow, locked in.
Locked in. So will be LeBlanc top lane against Trundle. It's more or less a lane where LeBlanc can constantly harass Trundle. He will never be able to get up to her, because if he puts up the pillar, you just jump backwards. And also you have your chain if he comes too close. So it should be a very easy lane for LeBlanc actually to get the farm. But it will be hard for him to kill this very tanky Trundle though.
We'll see how that develops. Xaxus has been having some fantastic games for Roccat. Copenhagen Wolves, their final choice. What will that AD carry be? Will it be the Ezreal for Forgiven?
Here's also though an issue for Roccat. They talked in their pre-game video how Copenhagen Wolves love to lane swap. If they can pull off a lane swap against LeBlanc, you can really shut her down early. She's very, very squishy. You will be able to force her away from the turret or even dive her and kill her. That will be an issue for Roccat.
I do have a great little bit of insight because I was talking to Kaltard on the way into work this morning. Jinx possibly being hovered over for Forgiven here. We'll see whether it does get locked in. But they were talking about the lane swaps, and I was like, it's funny, you're one of the teams that do it the most. We highlighted it last week now, how often they do it. And he says, the reason we actually do it, and we do it a lot in scrims, is because our communication is so bad. That's why we have that really bad spell of between the 15-25 minute mark. So what we do is the lane swap, and it forces us to communicate much more than we ordinarily would.
That's actually very smart, because you have to coordinate with jungler, you have to coordinate how it goes in the other lane. Can you take the turret and then swap up to the other lane? You know, there's a lot of communication going on. With the Jinx logged in, they can actually do the lane swap. She's very good at pushing turrets early, so they would have a lot of damage to go in. And also Nocturne will be able to come up and join. He's very good at diving because you pop on your fear and then get the fear to proc, get some damage in, and then you get out. So I actually can see Copenhagen Wolves lane swapping against LeBlanc. So we could maybe potentially expect Rocket to be a little bit aggressive, to get some vision on Wolves and make sure they know where they're going.
Oh, fantastic, fantastic picks and bans once again. These teams have really been throwing out some interesting champions. And, you know, we were trying to discuss it in the office during the week, trying to figure out what these teams were going to go with. The fact that we are coming into 4.2, we're still not seeing Kayle picked or banned at all today. So clearly that one is now off the map as one of the first picks. And ladies and gentlemen, you have heard from what we've had to say. You've heard from the Roccat coach. We want to hear what you've had to say. And according to the votes, 85% of you have chosen Roccat to win here. And that's no surprise. They are number one right now.
They are number one, and they want to come in here after the loss to SK and show they still are the number one team. So I expect them to go in, be really, really aggressive, and want to pick up this win.
Well, they are all square with the Copenhagen Wolves. They've got one win apiece. The Wolves were the only team, I believe, to take down Roccat in week one. I'm trying to think if anyone else did. Yes, it was. Yeah, and that was a big upset because Roccat was starting out very well. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. As we move into the game, of course, Roccat are going to be starting out as the blue team on your map right there. And, of course, that means they're up against the Copenhagen Wolves, who will be the red team. So, anything we see from the initial start, not really anything standing out. Doran's items all across the board.
Yeah, nothing too new here. Looking at the lane matchups itself, mid lane is obviously going to be a very hard skill matchup actually for both, because they want to land their abilities to make sure to get the poke they need. Both have a lot of lane control, a lot of poke early on, so it will be pretty much about who can land the first poke and then go from there on. Top lane wise, Xaxus will be able to farm, but so should Trundle actually. Yes, he will get some poke, but he's still very, very tanky early on, and it will be hard for Xaxus to kill him, at least before the level 6 mark. Youngboy won't be able to pressure Xaxus too much though. And looking down bot lane wise, Jinx and Annie against Lucian Morgana. It's more or less, again, skill matchup in my opinion. Morgana can land a binding, Lucian can get some damage onto this one, but that's more or less it. You can't really all in as Morgana. While Annie, obviously, we know how much poke she has, we know she has the stun. And then also Jinx, who's getting a little bit out-traded by Lucian early on, but she will still be able to do a lot of damage in case they land a stun from Annie.
And so far we don't see a lot of lane movement, so we may not be seeing the lane swaps coming out from the Copenhagen Wolves this time around. Up against Rocket all standard. And we did hear from Veggie, the coach for Rocket, that he expects them to have a much better laning phase this time around, Rocket, because of course that laning phase up against Gambit in Pyjamas didn't go very well for them.
No, and it has been an issue, as he said himself, that they have actually not been winning the lane since the early weeks, and that's also why they have looked a little bit more shaky. They're still a very strong team when they get to team fights. The coordination is very good. And notice here, actually, Silva seems to be going towards the top lane, and his stats on Lucian: 22 kills, 2 deaths, and 21 assists. That is great stats. And that's why they first picked it as well.
Yeah, fantastic choice. And we talked about it at the start of the game. Blue buff. Oh, look at this, a double rotation.
And simply, Rocket is they're predicting the swap from Copenhagen Wolves. They didn't have vision on them to see them move, but they expect them to do it, so they swap with them here. And that is bad news for Copenhagen Wolves.
Oh, I think Rocket, if they'd have just held on for a couple of seconds there, I'm almost certain they wanted to try and look towards that bush, maybe try and get something in it. But instead, Rocket showed themselves. So this does mean we have a full lane swap. No advantage gained from either team.
Yeah, but this actually shows a little bit how it can be an issue that you are predictable. We know Copenhagen Wolves love to lane swap, the teams know it. Simply meant that Rocket didn't need vision, they could just predict it and swap up there. Some good poke going down onto Vander though, and also Silva taking some damage.
Yeah, Dark Binding didn't quite land there. Silva also taking some damage. Good switcheroo from Forgiven to get that extra long-range poke on towards Vander, and Vander being forced away from this one. Dark Binding is only going to land on a minion, and Copenhagen Wolves, they're zoning them out.
So much zoning potential from Annie early on. The very long auto attack, good damage. Vander, he needs to land a binding to actually get some damage going, and he's been missing them so far, which meant unlimited. He can just walk around, keep poking, and we talk about how aggressive Copenhagen Wolves are in this bot lane early on. They just constantly want to harass.
We do see that level 2 first hit by the Copenhagen Wolves. It is so important because it really means that they can start dominating that lane. We see Vander hitting 2, still no 2 for Silva.
And that's the perfect thing for Copenhagen Wolves at the moment, because the lane is in the middle, which means Silva has a hard time getting in there, getting the CS. Copenhagen Wolves, they've been denying him so far, and actually really far ahead. First binding, lining onto Forgiven.
Not followed up by Silva, which means they are still very worried, and Rocket playing this one oh so cautiously. And you can see in terms of CS what that means already. 9 to 8, 19 for Forgiven up against Silva. So just that little intricate level 1 play that really, honestly, outside of probably say the diamond level, not a lot of teams see.
No, not a lot of teams actually use it because they don't value getting the early level 2 so high, because you really need to be able to zone them away for it to be worth it. And Copenhagen Wolves, they know how to play this non-stop. They were one of the first teams that I actually personally played against who did it, and that's where people started doing it from and learned it from. All in all though, notice the bot lane. Sasus, he's having the pressure on the Youngbot.
He's pressuring it quite heavily on Youngbot. Youngbot's already taken low. There's been clearly a heated exchange between the two, and I'm not too sure if he can stick around too much longer. He's chugging through those potions. That Doran Shield, of course, giving him the regen. Meanwhile, we do see Amazing getting in. Oh, he's going to show each other who can win this fight. That's the question, because they're going to go at it. Amazing fancies it. He gets the Fear Leash. Fear tether on towards Jankos. Jankos with next to no mana. Oh, the explosive pack sends him into Jankos, and he's going to continue chasing. Throws the mine zone. He has to turn around, but the flash from Kautar doesn't land. The glitter lands, and Overpower just about saving the bacon of Jankos.
But here we actually see the Nocturne pick in action. He took the 1 versus 1 fight against Jankos, and he won it. He forced him to flash away. He did trying to go after him because he was most likely expecting Kautar to flash over the wall with him and trying to pick up the kill. There was Ignite ready as well on Kautar. If he got in range for it, he could have used it. Sadly for him though, he couldn't get in position. But here, we see the Nocturne pick, and at level 6, we will see which jungler is actually going aggressive first.
Meanwhile, these 2 AD carries, it is a big differential starting to stretch out here. Forgiven doing a great job, and more importantly, Unlimited doing a fantastic job of keeping them at bay. Again, manages to land more damage onto Silva, taken so low with next to no mana.
And Copenhagen Wolves are really using this Annie pretty much perfect in the early harass, constantly laying down the long auto attacks, laying down the harass she can do. The only issue for them is the fact that LeBlanc is more or less free farming bot here. They wanted to swap against her, but all in all, they seem to be doing fine 2 vs 2 wise, so it might not be too bad for them.
Well, Youngbot's already been back to get himself that Negatron cloak, so he knows already that he's going to have to keep Zazas at bay, has built in towards it, so far, so good. Top lane again, look at it, 45 to 27, really a big gap starting to stretch for Forgiven. and these mid laners. Both been back to buy now, and both very similar builds. We do see, of course, both going for that Chalice early on, but Boot's already been picked up by Kauta.
And as we talked about, both of them are very strong laners. They want to get a lot of farm early, and they can both shove the wave a lot. We haven't seen too much action in there, so maybe they're waiting on for more teamfight based, both of them. But we know they both want to get farmed in the lane and just be able to get the first few items and be very, very strong.
We'll see whether Jankos is able to make some effect on this bottom lane. There is no wards for Youngbuck, but he is going to have to be a tower dive if he wants to go for it.
But he's simply more there for a counter gank. If he comes around here, there's a ward, so it will be very risky for him. Nocturne is very far away though. He doesn't notice, but we can see it. He's very, very far away. Will he try and go for this one?
Well, it's a level 4 tower dive. That would be very aggressive stuff. Xaxus has just hit level 6, so he has that ultimate available. Just about enough mana to go for the full combo. But Youngbuck, he knows he's already got him in that bush. He can see him with the ward, but he's still sticking around.
Yeah, he's actually not even scared because, well, he might be moving away now. He just wants to try and get the level 6 from these minions and then prevent the dive.
It's going to be enough, I'm not too sure. Instead, he has to back away. Jankos doesn't go for the pounce there. Now he's hit the level 6. Now he's going to be much more confident. He can leech those stats. Kautar's coming down. He's going to go aggressive on this one, trying to push on towards Xaxus, who quickly dashes away.
So all in all, very smart play by Youngbuck, staying in there, trying to get the level 6 so he could prevent the dive, and also in a good position to move away once Jankos actually moved towards him. It meant that Amazing, he was just farming, meanwhile Jankos was trying to gank, so he's actually level 6 now onto Amazing. He has the ultimate, he can set up a gank, and if he does that, Jankos won't be able to respond because he's behind in levels.
So, first back 4 Forgiven, and look at it. 61 to 37 in that top lane. Salvo himself, well, he's going to get some farm going on here because he's got a little respite, has been back to buy that Vampiric Scepter, but it's a BF sword for Forgiven because he's got himself so far ahead in that lane.
And that is such a big difference if they come to a fight, especially just 2v2 wise, because you have so much extra damage onto Jinx. Also, once you hit the level 6 mark with Tippers, we've talked earlier about how much burst you actually have. Pop the Tippers first, do some damage, then pop the ultimate, which is an execute, so there's more damage the lower the enemy is. You have so much burst potential, they can shut him down. Shut down the bot lane from Rocket.
Let's see which way Overpower goes with this build as well, because remember, he's the one that's been building the Spirit the Spectral Wraith a couple of times. Elder Lizard, rather, sorry. On Ziggs.
It was Spectral Wraith.
It was Spectral Wraith.
Right.
I was right the first time around.
He could potentially go for it again. Normally, you want to build it if you're against someone who can't shove the lane too hard, because you want to shove the lane out, go to the Wraiths or the Wolf camp, pick up them, and then come back to the mid lane. Lulu, however, is very good at shoving out the lane constantly, so I'm not too sure if he wants to pick it. He does have a Pantheon jungle, though, who doesn't rely too much on killing Wraiths, so he could potentially go for it and just focus 100% on farming.
Well, these two top laners have returned, or bottom laners in the top lane, whichever you'd like to call it, is the duo pairing, and it is Forgiven Unlimited. Remember, Unlimited's given up a lot of First Bloods, and this game so far has been fairly aggressive. But Vander, he's been known to land those Dark Bindings at key moments. But remember, Tippers is available in just a couple of seconds. You can see his experience bar in the bottom left corner was just about to tick over to level 6. May won't make a play in just a few seconds.
And that's really where Rocket have to be careful once the level 6 mark on it. Forgiven, he did get level 6 now. He has the ultimate Unlimited very, very soon. You could potentially see him going all in instantly because Vander, he's only level 5.
And look at this. You can see Copenhagen Wolves all making a move towards that top lane, but that ward very well placed there from Jankos. Spots Kautar straight away, moving up the river.
And meanwhile, though, Ziggs, he just constantly goes down, does Wolf Camp, then he goes over, does the Wraiths. Kautar, he will fall behind in CS if he doesn't do the same. And that can be an issue because Ziggs, we know how good he can farm, we know how strong Overpower is in teamfights. So that could potentially be an issue for Copenhagen Wolves later on if they didn't get too much farm. But notice here, Amazing, he's close to this top lane, he has the ultimate, but so does Pantheon.
Kautar again, going to pass this ward this time around, trying to speed himself up, trying to bait them around there, trying to draw attention, and I think he's aware that that ward is there. Jankos close by, he can do a Grand Skyfall if he needs to.
Yeah, but both junglers now are actually in a great position to either counter gank or set up a gank. If Amazing starts it with his ultimate, it's hard for Jankos to come in with his because he doesn't know what's going on, he can't place it. On the other hand, Amazing is in a good position to join in once you see the circle from Pantheon, and we could potentially see him jumping in.
So everything available, everything poised. We even see the mid laners. There's the Grand Skyfall coming in. Jankos is about to drop. It's going to get countered. Amazing comes straight in. Mega Inferno Bomb going to come in. That gets flashed out of. Doesn't really do the damage, but Jankos goes down. Amazing does get first blood. Vander's going to get focused on. He goes down again. It's a double kill for Amazing with the red buff.
And this is why Nocturne is a counter to Pantheon. He was nearby. He was in a great position. As soon as he saw the circle, he canceled his recall, popped his ultimate, jumped into the face, and Jankos As soon as he landed, he had to walk out, and he wasn't enough. He died for it, and Copenhagen Wolves take 2 kills and can now take this turret.
Completely blind stuff. What a turnaround, and Copenhagen Wolves playing that one absolutely on the record. 99 CS now for Forgiven. That tower's about to go down. He's got himself 2 assists. He is miles ahead of Sullivan now.
And again, this bot lane from Copenhagen Wolves, or Forgiven as an AD carry, once he gets ahead, we know how strong he is in team fights. We know what a good AD carry is. Copenhagen Wolves, they love to play this style where they rely on him to get all the items he needs, and then he will simply just go crazy in the team fights. Notice Lulu again though, roaming towards bot lane.
Well, you see Kautar moving in. I think they just pinged it, but they're too late. Zaz is going to get caught out. Does get a distortion. Eclipse lands. He should be able to finish him off here, and it will be Youngbuck that gets himself a kill. It's a 3rd kill now for the Wolves.
And notice the difference between Kautar and Overpower this game. Overpower, he constantly goes into his own jungle, farms the minions. Kautar, on the other hand, he just roams. He just wants to set up kills. Now they can go towards this dragon. Youngbuck is the only one nearby. He can't join in. And all in all, man, this Lulu pick is doing so much work because he's so fast at roaming around. And also the fact that Overpower is playing so passive and focused so much on farming. Kautar can do whatever he wants.
Easy dragon for the Wolves. Another objective gained and another big chunk of change. Look at the gold now. Youngbuck teleporting up towards the top there. But I got to highlight this. 12 minutes into the game and already nearly a 4,000 gold differential. That's huge.
Such a big difference AD carry CS wise, and also yeah, the 3 kills they picked up. Youngbuck is slightly behind in CS, but he got the kill down bot lane, so it's great for him. He's been getting back into goal now, actually even with Sasus. So it means Copenhagen Wolves are getting out of this early game very, very nicely, and Rocket, like Veggie said, they need to win the early game, otherwise he's going to be very, very mad. So he's probably a little bit mad at the moment.
I think he's probably quite mad right now because Rocket are almost certainly behind. The one saving grace, Overpower. He's doing a good job in farming in the mid lane, but as we saw, that Mega Inferno Bomb, it was thrown in there, but there was no follow-up, and instead Kautar went hunting for those kills. Bottom lane, this tower is going to get pushed. We've already seen the top tower going down. They have to react. Zazas can no way defend this one.
No, he's going to need a gank from Yang because he is in range to maybe pop his ultimate, but he needs to do it soon. There we go.
He's going in for it, but have they got enough to follow it through? Because look, Amazing's coming close by. It's Forgiven they're going to focus on, but he's turning the aggression round. There's going to be the Mega Inferno Bomb. They will get the kill. Unlimited's coming down there. Amazing will be joining the party on towards Sullivan. Unlimited trying his best. They get the stun down. They get the timbers down. Yankov's going to get taken low. Amazing trying to do the damage. He should have enough, but he's going to get caught in the down line. He gets himself the kill. Now he has to get the hell out of there. Vander's ultimate's running. Sullivan gets the kill in the end.
Lulu's there
now it comes to Kautar on towards him. Sullivan trying to get himself a double. Not going to get it. The wild growth comes out from Kautar. Saves Unlimited's life.
So first of all, we have the gank from Yangas coming in to stop them from going on the turret. They pick up the kill on Forgiven. Amazing didn't have his ultimate ready, so he couldn't join in fast enough. Meanwhile though, as we see again, Kautar, he started roaming from mid lane as soon as the action started. Overpower, he stayed in there. He's going to shove down this turret. Will get it, but it simply meant that Kautar could combat, save first of all Unlimited, and then pick up a kill for himself again.
Wow, this game certainly started off slowly, but it's got itself going very quickly. Second tower of the game coming down for the Copenhagen Wolves here. Vander can't do anything about that one. Kautar happily taking it down. Youngbuck warding out, I believe, towards that blue buff. No, I think it got swept straight out by Yankos. Game straight in, not going to let that one through. Overpower will be taking himself a second blue buff of the game. Has great farm, but he has to start getting himself involved because last time they played Ziggs, Rocket were happy to have a bit of time on the game, bit time in the lane phase, but Copenhagen Wolves, they are forcing this into a different game.
Just think they're playing so aggressive in every single lane. They want to have these fights, and Kautar constantly roaming. So even though Rocket can get all this farm onto Ziggs, they want to make sure the rest of the lanes are behind. So it doesn't even matter. You have this very farm Ziggs unless we go really, really late in the game. And then it simply means Rocket have to stop dying at the moment. They need to just farm away, play safe, don't die, and then all the farm will actually pay off onto Overpower.
We'll see how that needlessly large rod transitions into any item for Zazas here. He's going to have Kautar in the lane against him, just passing through the tri-bush. I'm going to clear out that top wave, keep that tower safe. And in fact, is he going to rotate lanes? No, he's not. Just going to back off there. Bottom lane, well, we see again Forgiven and Unlimited are back in that lane, and it is building bigger and bigger. It's a 50 CS gap now between Sullivan and Forgiven.
And we have to remember Lucian was the first pick for Rocket, so they really valued that pick very high. They figured we can actually win the lane or shut down Forgiven. He just said, no what, I practice Jinx now, I'm very good on Jinx. And then together with Unlimited, the very aggressive bot lane they had, or top lane more or less, in the start of the game, simply meant that they shut down the Lucian and got very far ahead onto Forgiven's side.
Interested to see how this one does develop with that Jinx, bearing in mind Reckless was the one that really brought it to everyone's attention and then stopped playing it. Strangely enough, Fnatic have lost every game since.
Well, the issue with Jinx is the fact it's very risky for you in team fights because you don't have this jump, you don't have more than, you have your flash, that's pretty much it. So if Pantheon can get onto him, if Xaxus can get onto him in the backline, they will be able to kill him pretty much instantly. That's where Lulu come into play though. Ultimate shield, pop it onto Jinx, and you won't be able to burst him down as easily, and that means he can turn it around, get a kill, pop his passive, and then keep going from there on.
See how it develops so far. It's working very, very well for Forgiven. You can see now a 60 CS gap building a gigantic step between Rocket and Forgiven. And just looking across the other lanes, you can see the gold as well across the board. Very even between the two top laners. Mid laners, it's actually very close, despite Overpower having a giant CS lead, a 40 CS lead, because Counterhard has been there or involved in all of these fights.
Yeah, and he's also gotten, you know, the global gold, which gives him quite a lot. It helps the entire team around. The thing I noticed is the fact that Xaxus, he's picked up a DFG. We have seen some LeBlancs go more in for Fiends, into Death Cap, into Void Staff for more overall damage, but with the DFG you have full-on single target burst.
4 members of Forgiven Copenhagen Wolves. Well, he's a team in himself right now. 4 members of the Copenhagen Wolves moving in towards this bottom lane. It does mean the mid lane has been left free. We do see that it's going to be Overpower pushing that one. Meanwhile, the rest of Rocket, they're trying their best to defend this one, but again, Overpower, I feel, has to be here, has to be involved in this one. Another easy inner turret for the Copenhagen Wolves.
Yeah, Overpower could at least have walked down, thrown down his ultimate, cleared the wave before he even got to the turret. Instead, we saw the calling from Silver trying to clear it. It wasn't enough. It was simply, it took too long, so Copenhagen Wolves could take the turret, and Rocket didn't feel like fighting for it because again, Overpower was stuck in the mid lane.
And this is something Copenhagen Wolves talked about in their interview last week, what they've done to turn their game around, and they realized SK Gaming did exactly the same thing as well, by the way. They talked about, instead they were chasing kills, they were being pulled into these team fights. Instead they realized, you know what, we just need to take objectives, which is what the Korean teams have been doing for years.
And that's the thing, because once you take down turrets, you deny vision from the enemy team, and also you make it a lot harder for them to actually set up fights. So Copenhagen Wolves, as long as they can keep taking down these turrets, keep using the advantage they have early, they will more or less shut Rocket down. And we saw Rocket against SK Gaming last week, how they went for desperate Baron. At like 23 minutes, they just rushed up to Baron. SK was there, they had full vision over it, got in, took down pretty much the entire Rocket, and then they surrendered afterwards. If Copenhagen Wolves can manage to do the same, keep the pressure on the map, keep taking objectives, Dragon going down again, they're just taking everything away.
Second Dragon in the game for the Copenhagen Wolves, not even remotely close. Rocket there to contest in that one. 5,000 gold lead for the Wolves, and they are really starting to drive this game home up against Rocket. They did exactly the same against Fnatic last week. It was dominating stuff for them, and Rocket, well, so far, are out without any response.
And we have Forgiven picking up his second item is a QSS. Straight away, he wants to make sure if he gets hit by binding, he can QSS it. Also, he will be able to survive some of the bursts if Jankos jumps him or if Xaxus jumps him with the chain, for instance. He can QSS that, get away, flash out, get the ultimate from counter, something to make sure he can stay alive and deal the damage he needs.
Of course, if you've never bought a QSS, which is something you don't often see any players outside of Platinum buying, strangely enough, it is a cleanse, a free cleanse, an item you should buy if there is a lot of stuns like a Pantheon on your team, which I believe has been pretty much heavily hit in solo queue right now, and of course along with the dark bindings of Vanda.
And another thing you can actually cleanse away is the DFG from LeBlanc to avoid getting a lot of the burst going in here. Youngbuck, you might be going with us. We see the Pantheon ult, and Amazing is there.
Ready and waiting, and again that ultimate being used a little bit blind, and Xaxus is going to get caught out here. Have they got enough damage? Youngbuck will take him down. They can turn this one back on towards Jankos, but running up the mid lane is Vanda. But look at this, coming in at the side. Counter is ready and waiting to counter. The Jankos is going to continue pushing, and well, Copenhagen Wolves counted it once again. That Nocturne is working wonders against Pantheon.
This Nocturne is more or less the story of the game, because every time the junglers try to do something, it goes into favor of Copenhagen Wolves and Amazing on the Nocturne. Once again, both junglers gang the same place, but Amazing goes in first, pops the ultimate, gets Xaxus more or less down instantly, and then from there on, Jankos just have to back out because he can't keep going with Kauta also closing in. And it's just me. Amazing is just out jungling Jankos at the moment.
Talking about that kill participation, he's still 80%. He's always involved in everything that the Copenhagen Wolves do. And this time he countered it, that pick, and of course let that Pantheon through, a champion that he's played to great effect himself. And went with the Nocturne. It seems to work out so well so far. As it stands, bottom laners, what is going on here? Unlimited's got himself a Giant's Belt.
Got a Giant's Belt, if you want to be a little bit more tanky, once he actually goes in with his ultimate, and in general, if Copenhagen Wolves can survive all the upfront bursts from the LeBlanc, from the 6th ultimate, from Pantheon jumping in, the calling from Lucian, they will be able to turn the fight around because they have Lolo. We heard Alex in the interview before and how good Lolo is to counter-engage fights, and that's what they want to do. So they want to make sure that every single member can survive. And it's also, again, the QSS against something like LeBlanc Burst, popping DFG on you, you boom, instant you cleanse it, and you make sure you don't take the full damage.
So we're in that phase where the Copenhagen Wolves tend to go a little awry, despite the fact that when they have a giant advantage. Let's see how it works out this time around. We do have a Lich Bane now on Kautard, so those basic attacks are going to be doing a heck of a lot of damage, and that explosive pack not really doing a great deal to him so far from Overpower.
No, and Lich Bane again, it is the common item onto Lulu because you only have your Q and also your E who does damage. So adding in the Lich Bane, you get some more burst, you get a third thing that actually scales with it. And it simply means also his tower pushing potential. If they get to that point where they can get in, get past Overpower who's constantly wave clearing and actually hit the turrets, he will do a lot of damage to them.
Looking amazing, you can see he's building up against the fact that he's up against, well, 3 AP champions on the Roccat team. He's gone with a Hexdrinker as a jungler.
It's very, very smart because he wants to make sure when he's going in, he doesn't get instant pop by LeBlanc, instant pop by Ziggs. So the Hexdringer will help him. Also give him some good damage in the fights. And he's actually picked up a Locket once again. Copenhagen Wolves want to survive the instant burst from Rocket and then turn the fight around.
Tricky moment being set up here. Jankos and Overpower actually quite far up in the river, and there's 4 members between them. And Roccat are actually sniffing this one out around the blue buff, but I believe the blue buff was taken a few moments ago, if memory serves. But they are going to go for it. Amazing, actually, using that ping ward, jumping towards Jankos. Well, the rest of the team comes around. Tibbers goes down. Jankos goes down as well. Overpower now caught out. Youngbuck tanking out that tower. Explosive pack will force them away, and Tibbers will tank it away. Xaxus tries to come in and steal that 50 gold. Not going to happen.
And that was such a smart place for Copenhagen Wolves to actually camp all this because they didn't have vision from Rocket's side. So as soon as Pantheon was caught completely out of position, ulted in with Amazing, got him down, and now they can try and pressure his turret, but Zex is still there, Lucian is still there to do a lot of wave clear.
Yeah, good wave clear, of course. Culling being used, the mine's going down, but nevertheless, they got themselves another kill, and sure as hell, Amazing was involved in it. 3-1-3 now for Amazing, involved in everything the Copenhagen Wolves do in general, and it seems to be working. I wonder if he's the shot caller for that team. Maybe.
He's at least doing a lot of early game calls. We often see this with junglers on these professional teams where they have control of the early game. They decide where to gank and when to gank. And it works really well because, again, you have pretty much the overview of how much can you do as a jungler, which position are you in, which camp will you do next, and which lane can you go to.
And now that Lich Bane is completed on Kautard, you just saw it there. A couple of hits on that tower. It's chunking it down very quickly. Chipping it down was the word I was trying to say, not chunking it. Maybe chunking, chipping, that's the same thing. Nevertheless, he is working that turret down, and Roccat are realizing they can't actually leave this one be.
And obviously they want to make sure the last outer turret for him stays alive, because if they lose this mid turret, the entire entrance to their jungle is without vision unless they ward it themselves. So they want to make sure they keep this one alive. And yeah, okay, Overpower with his insane amount of farm has been able to keep it fairly safe. It's down to a bit 50% more or less, so Copenhagen Wolves, if they win a fight, potentially here at the Dragon, they will be able to rotate there and take the turret.
Teleport available for Youngbuck, so he's just going to go off, defend that top turret and teleport in if required. Of course, Roccat didn't even fight for the last one, so which is why he's not putting too much into this one. Sweeping lens from Amazing will clear out the ward. They've caught Overpower a little out of position there. Kautard just spotting out Jankos, and the Copenhagen Wolves, well, they're all moving for this one.
There is a ward from Rocket's side, so they know it's being started. But look at the position. 3 members are in the mid lane, and 1 guy is stuck towards the top lane. They weren't even ready for this one at all. Easy Dragon for Copenhagen Wolves once again.
No, it's the 3rd Dragon, I believe, not the 2nd. I don't know, maybe I'm losing count, but I'm pretty sure that's 3 they've taken. 24 minutes into this game. Maybe I'm wrong, who knows. Stats are not always my best thing, nor is maths. Youngbuck just sweeping out the Baron, making sure that's not being warded out. Maybe something they can think about here. Jankos just on that big white, not going to get caught out. Youngbuck sniffing around here. I think he's going to try and ward this one out, and the rest of the team are closing in here.
No.
Pillar on Jankos. No, can't teleport just yet.
Now, for Copenhagen Wolves, the issue is they want to obviously set up fights to push on turrets, but Rocket has been staying so passive. If they can manage to get a fight going here, at this blue buff, we can get Copenhagen Wolves to maybe use the big advantage they have to win it. Otherwise, we'll see what actually happens. Where are they going? Nope.
Going to try and smite it out. Amazing instead. His smite was back up after that dragon and just takes it away for his team. That does mean, of course, that Kautard will be getting his. And a Ziggs without a blue buff, that means Mega Inferno rockets and Mega Inferno rockets? Mega Inferno bombs are not going to be available.
That would be pretty hardcore if they had both.
They do have that combo, or they don't actually tell a lie because
they can fight on each
Jinx is on the opposite side, yeah.
The thing is, for Rocket side, it was actually wise they didn't try to challenge for this blue buff, because they just want to extend the game at the moment. They want to keep this mid turret alive by constantly pushing it out and then going to the side lanes, push them out again, and make sure Copenhagen Wolves can't get anything free and can't start a fight, because Rocket will be losing. They are behind in gold. Copenhagen Wolves side, they more or less have to either try and force the Baron, which can be a risky move, or they have to try and set up a dive or catch someone out from Rocket side, which is very hard with the way Rocket are playing at the moment.
So far, so good for the Copenhagen Wolves, but they have deliberated a little, but they're starting to take every little advantage they can away from ROC. But they've got to be careful. They can't leave ROC be for too long, because they start getting fed. They are a very strong team fighting team if they're given the chance.
And they're getting the farm, especially onto the Zex, but also LeBlanc has been picking up quite a lot of farm throughout the entire game. We have a Void Staff, a second item, that is just full-on burst on whatever target comes into the face of Sasus. Could be amazing, that's why he has the Hex Drinker. And it could also be Youngbok, who's actually only having his boots and also the Spirit Visage, so he might be able to go down fairly fast if the entire Rocket team focus him.
So would it be wise to see some Banshees maybe coming up for Copenhagen Wolves? Maybe they're going to have to try and build for that. Oh, that Sweeper, I think he got 2 of them. Nice.
Banshees would be a very good item, as you're saying yourself. It can block a lot of upfront damage from Sasus. Something else we could potentially see was, again, Spirit Visage onto something like a Nocturne. He has the lifesteal by himself, and he can sustain a little bit from it, but a Banshee would be the ideal pick, because he's the one going in first.
Rocket maybe pushing in this mid lane here. We do see Jay on the bottom, Youngbok continuing to push on towards those turrets. The inhibitor turret is exposed. He's going to try and not use that teleport and walk his way up here. The Wolves have reacted quick enough. And Rocket quickly runs, and they're going to have to step away. This is all because Forgiven showed himself in that top lane.
This time around, we actually had Overpower using his ultimate to clear out the bot lane. Youngbok, he might even just return there and keep farming. He has the teleport, so he can always join in if something should happen. Overpower is back now, so that's actually the time for Copenhagen Wolves to try and push down his turret if they really want it.
Yeah, this middle turret should go down. The culling being used though, so they may have to tank this one out, which is not the wisest of choices. And yet the Wolves, realizing that, do step away. We did see Youngbok in that mid lane jungle area, just getting a little poke on towards it, but Rocket are defending this one well.
And honestly, I don't think we're going to see too much happening in the game before this turret goes down. It is the full-on focus. At some point, Copenhagen Wolves might become desperate and try and dive it, and then Rocket can turn it around, win the fight, and then actually get back in the game.
Again, it's very hard to push in when you have a culling, which is on a very short cooldown from Sullivan. And, of course, there's mines coming out from Overpower. They have some great wave clear if they require it.
And despite the nerf onto the minefield, it still does a lot. Now, this time around, Copenhagen Wolves finally gets it.
Chipped it down slowly but surely, and the 28th minute, that final middle turret does fall, and that's going to open up the map a little bit here for the Copenhagen Wolves.
It makes it easier for Copenhagen Wolves to go into the jungle of Rocket, put down deep wards, and then if they decide to either split push every single lane, try and catch someone out, or if they want to force out this Baron, they can get full vision around the area, spot Rocket coming in, and then set up a perfect fight ring where they start with the Nocturne ultimate, so it's really hard for Rocket to coordinate something.
Zazas and Overpower getting a little coordination there, not quite catching out anyone though. And Limited just backs off, making sure, I think with that Giant Spell pickup, do you think he's just making sure he's like, I'm going to make sure my stats are a little bit better in this game. 2-0-3, not bad so far.
He at least wants to try to make sure he doesn't die to Sasus, but if he gets the full combo, he's still a dead enemy.
Right now, Rocket are rotating around. Youngbok split pushing against Overpower in this bottom lane at the moment, and doing a grand job at that. Actual most of the jungle in control by Copenhagen Wolves. It is just Rocket in his top lane, keeping them at bay, but I think the Wolves have decided we've pushed long enough, we've got a lot of global gold, it's time to spend some money.
And here's the thing for Copenhagen Wolves side, they don't feel like they have to do too much because they like their combo late game. Trundle, we know what a beast he is. Obviously Lulu, with all the utility she's gonna bring. Jinx is very, very strong in the late game, and he's actually just upgraded his QSS. It's not the most cost-efficient item.
Mercurial Scimitar, yeah.
Exactly, because you more or less actually only get extra AD, and you invest a lot of gold in it, so it's not the most gold-efficient one, but he wants it early on, and you just want the straight-up damage in the fights.
Let's see how it works out for them as it stands. I would have preferred maybe a Banshee's Veil in there. Maybe he just wants to, I mean, obviously it gets him out of the stuns. But we'll see whether he goes for any sort of Last Whisper, because at the moment it's only Yankos actually has the armor.
And that's the thing, that's why he didn't go for Last Whisper, because only one member he would actually be using it on. The rest is very, very squishy, obviously no armor onto LeBlanc, so he felt he would get more damage from going straight into more basic AD instead of Last Whisper, instead of whatever item he could choose from. That's pretty much the idea behind it. And also, he will still have the QSS to pop if someone should go on him. It's still a little bit risky. I would also like to see a Guardian Angel or something like a Banshee to keep him 100% safe.
Glad to see I wasn't going mental. It was the 4th dragon of the game for the Copenhagen Wolves there. They are really in control. They actually, you know, we talked about Gambit having, what, 40+ dragons. I believe Copenhagen Wolves are also the 2nd highest as well. They have a lot of dragon control, but then again, they've taken a lot of games very long.
They have some very, very long games where they either win the early mid game and then take a lot of dragons there, and then end up losing it in some questionable decisions later on, and then from there on they pretty much lose the game, or the other way around where they are behind, farm their way back in, and then start winning the fights later on. This time around they are ahead, and they're in the position to close out the game. But again, they're happy enough just waiting with the combo because they like what they have late game, and also notice the distortion boots onto unlimited. Means his flash is gonna have a shorter cooldown and he can do more engages if needed.
Zaza's going for that ping ward, amazing close by, unlimited go prize. They're going to use the talisman. Are they going to catch on towards anyone? They flash Tibbers, but no! Counter flash quickly by Overpower. Quick reactions.
Very nice reaction. This time around, Copenhagen actually decided to bait out Baron, try and set up a fight. Didn't work for them. The flash again from unlimited will be up faster than normal because he has this distortion enchant onto his boots, so it's smart enough. But it really, really shows again. Copenhagen Wolves, they want to just try and set something up because this has been going on for too long. Rocket has been getting some farm back and actually starting to maybe be able to fight back in team fights.
Well, they desperately want that 50 gold from Tibbers, don't they? But it's not going to happen.
Leave that poor Tibbers alone.
Limited, make sure he moves it away. He's not going to give Sullivan anything in this game, making sure he is kept much lower. Right now, though, Youngbuck, he's continuing to farm on that bottom lane, continuing to keep that split push going with that teleport. He's not had to use it for a very long time.
There haven't been any fights where he's used it on. He's just been shoving out bot, moving into the jungle of Rocket, taking the Wraiths or the Golems and then move back bot lane. So he was never really needed to use it. And it's not like it's a wasted summon spell because he will always have it and he will always put pressure onto Rocket by staying down here in the bot lane.
I mean, and this is something we've seen, obviously, the fact that there is a tank on Copenhagen Wolves. There's a tank on Rocket, but it is only Jankos from the jungle, so he's not as strong as Youngbuck would be. Which would you prefer? I mean, the double AP comp hasn't been that successful so far in 2014 team.
I like the double AP combo if you win the early game, if you get into the team fights where the enemy team's tanks haven't got the items needed to survive, and you just instant blow them up, and then you roll over the enemy team. But if you fall behind, double AP, it becomes very hard to play in team fights because you have to pick out a target to actually win the fight. And so far for Rocket, they haven't been able to do it. And Copenhagen Wolves, with both Amazing and and Youngbuck running into the face, Rocket won't really be able to take them down without losing at least some members themselves to the backline of Copenhagen Wolves.
The Copenhagen Wolves have been trying to make a pick here at this Baron for about 5 minutes now. It's not really working out for them. They do get a lot of wards down. Sweeping Lens is going to find a lot of gold. If Vander can get it down and try and get himself one, can try and get the second, but they've been sitting, waiting, trying to get something from this one. Every single time we see Youngbuck pushing along that bottom lane, being shoved out. It quickly gets cleared once again by Overpower, but this is just making Copenhagen Wolves stronger and stronger.
More or less, but it's also the only thing Rocket can actually do because they are so far behind. They can't choose to fight themselves. So they're just trying to make sure Copenhagen Wolves doesn't get a free Baron. Always stay around. I think that's like number 20 of wards they've hit in the same bush. One thing we did see, Forgiven pick up a BF sword more, so they actually really want. We see Darkness coming in.
Nocturne, they've caught Sullivan out of position and coming around the side. He's Youngbuck, he's going to land the slow on him. Sullivan, oh, Megadeth fucking coming in. He's going to go and take him down. It will, and Youngbuck finally gets himself a kill. It's the first one in around about 10 minutes. Been a long time coming from the Wolves.
So it was, of course, the Paranoia and not the Darkness coming in from Amazing here. Finally, they catch someone out, take a kill. This could mean they could go for this Baron and pick it up and then really start pushing down the turrets for Copenhagen Wolves' side.
Everybody knows it is Darkness.
Yeah, it is
That's
technically
what
Darkness.
comes in towards it when Nocturne shows himself. Nocturne just above us here in the caster desk actually as well, so he's keeping an eye on us right now. But Baron is being started off by Rocket just off at the side though. They've caught Vander out, they're pushing it on towards him. Youngbuck getting caught with that dark binding, but look at that, the glitter lance on Vander, chipping down to half his health.
But the fact that Youngbuck and Carter were actually down here meant that Copenhagen will stop the Baron. Amazing, he's gone down to 15. They're going in again.
Talisman pops. Is he going to get the stun? No, of course, because he has the shield on Jankos, and he will not get the stun.
And Amazing is recalling. It seems Copenhagen Wolves want to back off. Once again, they tried to get the pick, couldn't get it. The kill onto Silver actually didn't give them anything, except for some more time at the Baron.
A little bit more gold, a little bit more farm, and a little bit longer of a game for the Copenhagen Wolves. And would we really expect anything else? They are the kings of the late game, it seems lately. But are they playing into Rockat's hand? Who has the comp? I mean, it's a 10,000 goal differential. Let's not get carried away. Copenhagen Wolves have massive, massive control in that sense. But if it's to go late, Zazas could catch Alpha Given and just pop him in seconds.
It will, yeah, he can potentially, but there's still the Lulu ultimate, there's the Lulu shield, there's the QSS, remove the debuff from DFG. So overall, I actually like Copenhagen Wolves combo more in the real late game, especially because they have these tanks who's going to be very hard to kill from Rocket's side. Overpower, he has a lot of CS, he will be very, very hard to deal with later on because he's going to have so much damage. This time around though, they have started the Baron, there's no vision from Rocket's side and they're not in a position to stop it. He's in the base and one guy's recalling.
Yeah, the Copenhagen Wolves choosing a different route this time around. 2-man in it, Youngbuck tanking it up, amazing doing the damage, and he's a pretty fed jungler. The rest of the team now going to rotate around. They feel they have positional advantage, and Roccat have stepped far enough away that this one could get taken. A Mega Inferno Bomb is the only thing could be used to steal this one away, but you can see he's in the base. He's not going to get close to it. Instead, it will get it down. Quick cancel of the ulti there, and he will go for it. Vander now going to get caught out. Everybody piles in. Paranoia's popped. Amazing once again. Gets himself another kill. Everything that happens, Amazing is there.
And this was actually perfect for Copenhagen Wolves. First of all, they finally get this Baron so they can now start pushing down turrets, maybe even dive Rocket onto their own turret, and also they managed to pick up a kill onto Vander. More or less showing what the combo can do with the Nocturne. Once again, pop the ultimate, jump into, catch out a target. The rest of Rocket, they can't see anything, so they can't really go in and help. And Copenhagen Wolves now, they need to just go down, and they might even be able to just dive. They have Lulu, very tanky members as well, who can tank this turret for a long time. Just go in there, use the advantage they have, kill Rocket, and then move down for an in-hit.
Dragon again, 5th one of the game now, along with that Baron. Every single objective being taken by Copenhagen Wolves so far in this game.
And at this point, it gives 260 gold to every member on the team. That is quite a lot. So it gives them some extra gold. They also picked up the Baron here to see how far they actually are ahead. Now we need to see if they want to push it, or they just want to keep farming for the next 20 minutes.
Well, with the Baron, I would hope not. However, Kautar wants his blue buff first. We're going to make sure he does get on him. You may see it on him. It's not actually on him. Now it's on him. Now it's on him. There we go. So Kautar with the blue buff. He's probably going to go back, get himself fully topped off, and come in. Of course, with that Banshee's Veil, Lich Bane, and Athene's and Early Grail, he could just buy yet more items.
Kautar should have enough gold for a Void Staff at the moment, so you can just go back, buy it. Has so much damage he can put out. Also, Infinity Edge completed onto Forgiven. We even see a Rylai's onto Annie, simply to provide some more CC, some more tankiness, and also give a little bit of ability power. Once she pops down the tippers, she will slow the targets she actually hit with the tippers, which is very, very smart.
More Mortius also completed by Amazing, so not only
Baron is not up, guys.
He's going to get more damage. Yeah, Copenhagen Wolves still thinking, this is where we stand, isn't it, for 20 minutes of the game? I'm sure this is what we do. This was part of our game plan, despite the fact they've already taken it. Oh, hello, Youngbuck's going to get dived on here. Zaza's coming in, he's going to have Jankos with him. Can 2 members of the Roccat take him down? Mega Inferno Bomb's going to join it. A little bit too late. Vander closes in, doesn't land the Dark Binding. Youngbuck continues to run. He is going to get caught out with the ultimate. Vander will stun him up there. They should have the damage, but to what avail? Because look at the top lane. We see the Copenhagen Wolves making use of this push. They're going to take themselves another inner turret.
And finally they managed to actually kill Youngbuck, but it will cost them the turret. Smart enough by Copenhagen Wolves. They shove down the top lane, with Youngbuck being very far pushed up down bot. Maybe a little bit too far, so it's fairly easy. I'm saying it's actually 3 members to actually kill him, so it wasn't easy, but they did get the kill. This time around, rotate to mid, using the shield to tank the turret.
Kautar just tanking that one out. It's going to pass it back across, and that's a second inner turret. So 2 inner turrets for a single kill of a troll. I believe Roccat have just been trolled.
Yeah, definitely, they have just been trolled. But this is what Copenhagen Wolves had to do, because they are so far ahead. They had the Baron. It was just a matter of time before they actually got the outer turrets. Now Roccat is more or less forced to stay in the base and take a fight there whenever Copenhagen Wolves decide to move in.
Ooh, Roccat, no. Are they going to go for it? I thought so. Jankos and Vander thinking about it. Amazing. Not really the one they're looking for, though. 4-1-4 Siren Fire, and Jankos having a stretch.
While it has been a very slow game, we can't actually play in Copenhagen Wolves for the way they're playing. Because again, they have a very good late game combo. They had the early lead and they didn't want to risk losing it. So they played very, very safe. Didn't want to dive Rocket, didn't want to take any chances. And we can't really blame them for that. Because this win against the #1 team, that would be very, very important.
Yeah, the Copenhagen Wolves, of course, chasing the way up that table would put them, I believe, tied with Fnatic, which I think would be a very big objective for the Copenhagen Wolves and put them potentially into one of those top 4 slots, which they have been aiming for and been doing very well. Also, it would be their 3rd win in a row, which is big big stuff for the Copenhagen Wolves.
And all these teams obviously fight because they want to get into the playoffs. They want to get in there where they can try and even win the entire league and also avoid relegation, which is the main point. We have some very strong challenger teams in Europe that will be ready to face whoever team is actually going down to relegation. That can be some very, very close matches.
Yeah, the likes of Cloud9 and Into the Pajamas we already saw, of course, in the finals of the Challenger Series. Remember, the Challenger Series, the second Challenger Series of the spring split will be starting after this concludes. So make sure to keep your eyes peeled for that one. I believe it's Zyrene and Ribbons.
It is, yeah.
Zyrene and Ribbons on that one. And there will be 2 games following this one, so don't go anywhere once this game finishes. At the moment, though, the Copenhagen Wolves are looking very strong. 9-3 up in kills. Baron buffers now ran out. They did get themselves 2 turrets with it. And look at that, minions on the top lane, along with Trundle pushing on there. Youngblood, again, split pushing. A 4-1 split push. Standard stuff from Wolves, but it works.
It works, and a Trundle with Blade of the Rune King with the extra attack speed also from his own W means he has a lot of damage on the turrets because you can also use his Q. Now Copenhagen Wolves, will they go somewhat aggressive or just poking away, backing off?
Simple zone control takes half the hit points off that inhibitor turret. You can see in the top lane, well, Youngbuck, he doesn't really care about overpower. He's continuing to split push while the rest of the Wolves continue to play with Rocket.
And that's the split pushing power again we just talked about with Trundle. That extra attack speed from Blade of the Rune King, your own W, and the fact you can Q the turrets means he can take it down very, very fast. And overpower, he really needs to either ultimate his wave, otherwise he's going to lose it to Youngbuck.
Youngbuck's taking down the top inhibitor turret. There it goes. That's one down. The second one will follow down the bottom lane, I feel. And Youngbuck really does not give a monkeys, I think is the word I'll go with, over overpower.
Smart enough, because again, Rocket have to keep these members down in the bot lane to defend from the 4 Copenhagen Wolves. Otherwise, they can just dive in with Nocturne and also the flash tables from Annie. So they really use the advantage of having this Trundle, and we see Grand Skyfall coming.
Oh, this is not a good move, I don't feel. He's going to go in towards Kautard. Kautard, Wild Growth pops. He's just going to turn that damage back on his head. Teleport coming in. Youngbuck's going to join the party. And now they've got a big giant troll in amongst them. Amazing goes in. He gets one. Yankov's going to get focused down as well. He's going to get dropped as well. That'll be Youngbuck picks himself up a second kill. Now on towards Sullivan. They're just tanking through this turret. They can take that one down. Youngbuck's not done yet. He keeps on going through. Blade the Rune King tanking it through. He's tanking up a turret. He's going to go down. He will finally fall. But it's another inhibitor turret going down. And the Copenhagen Wolves come out 2 for 2, at the end of that. And another inhibitor turret down.
And this fight was a perfect example of how Copenhagen Wolves actually won a team fight, where they just moving backwards when they engage coming from Rocket. They survive the burst and then they turn around, pop the ultimate on Amazing. He goes onto Sasus, gets the kill. The rest of Copenhagen will turn, pick up a kill onto Yankers. They got a little bit greedy, over aggressive in the end. Youngbuck, he just ran through the turret, tanked 3 people. In the end, he died for it, and Kautard died with him. If they'd maybe stayed back after the first 2 kills, they couldn't pick up the inhib and just finally getting one of these down. However, they have 2 open inhibs now. They can just move down as 5 people and take the fight there.
So the Copenhagen Wolves step it back and take it a little slower. They lost a couple of people, but they have the top and the bottom exposed now. And that's almost certainly going to be targets. But look at this. The Baron is back up, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, God,
we
no.
could be back into another long stretch from the teams.
Copenhagen Wolves don't even need this Baron buff. Oh, Vander. Could actually be caught out here.
No, Amazing. He has the opportunity to go for it, but he realized overpower is there. The rest of the Rocket are close by. Meanwhile, the Copenhagen Wolves, they still have Kautard in the base. Grand Skyfall coming in. Yankosh a little bit early on this one. They're going to try and start it.
They might actually be able to get it because the 2 members of Copenhagen Wolves are not there. They have to fight it 3 versus 5 if they want to go for it.
Don't forget, Kautard can speed it up. They're going to use Tibbers to try and force them back. We also see the ultimate coming out from Forgiven. Everything's being done, but that Baron's going down very quickly. Now we're going to see Amazing go in. Spike being used by Riankos, and he gets it down. Unlimited tanking off. He's got all that hit points. Salavar separating from his team. He goes down. This Baron buff's doing nothing for Rocket. It was a desperation move that is backfiring, and the Copenhagen Wolves with that Pixie are going to continue chasing down. Kautard gets himself a second. They turn and run for the mid.
And this should mean Copenhagen Wolves can go down and finish. Only 2 members are alive. They're all 5 here, and they can quickly take down these extra turrets if they go for it. Oh, Kautard!
Southside goes in. Wild Growth turns it around. He does get the kill, but he goes down nonetheless. Shock horror. Amazing is there again and controlling the game for the Copenhagen Wolves. That's one inhibitor turret going down. The inhib will follow. The top inhib is going to go down as well. The Copenhagen Wolves are taking everything from Rocket.
And finally, Copenhagen Wolves actually had Rocket moving out of the base, and then they punish them, and they can win this game.
#1 seed Rocket are going down to the Copenhagen Wolves. A fantastic match from the Wolves. Controlled it from the lane phase, through the mid game, to the late game. A very well played match from the Wolves. They took their time, but they completed it very well.
They took their time, they took no chances, and in the end, Rocket, they tried a desperate move. See the help coming in from Copenhagen Wolves, but Rocket, they tried to go for this Baron. It was more or less the only move that left, because both inhibs were open, turrets were gone, and they just had to try something. Copenhagen Wolves were there, punished them for it, and now they won the game.
15 kills for the Copenhagen Wolves. 14 of those were involving Amazing.
Can I just call him MVP of the match, or big play of the match again? Amazing is just every single Copenhagen Wolves victory. He's so good for them, and he's just part of everything they're doing.
He is amazing.
He is amazing.
Absolutely.
Spot on.
Fantastic stuff from him. You know, we've been talking about Jankos, Panda. The likes of Roccat have played really well coming into this game, but they have just been outclassed by the Copenhagen Wolves this time. And that takes Copenhagen Wolves 2-1 over Roccat. I think they're one of the few teams other than SK Gaming that have got themselves a lead over Roccat so far.
And one of the key things was generally how Copenhagen Wolves swapped up top. Roccat actually countered. We thought, okay, Roccat got the lanes they want now with the Blanc against the Trundle. But they couldn't stand against Forgiven and Unlimited. They had no chance. They simply got outfarmed, they got outpoked, and also they died when Amazing was there with the counter gank and Pantheon jumped in. And everything just worked out for more or less Copenhagen Wolves, except for Youngbuck falling slightly behind. But it didn't matter because later on he could just get all the farm he needed, got very, very tanky. And once we got to the real team fight late game, the tankiness of Copenhagen Wolves and the combo was just better than Rocket's.
So let's talk about this Nocturne up against the Pantheon, because we saw the Super Hot crew trying the same thing, but backfiring horribly. So that game we just thought, you can't give Sven Skjær in the Pantheon. Well, you've got to think the same with Jankos, but this time around, it's worked wonders. Is it the rest of the team that's around it?
The rest of the team definitely helps. Calling out, saying we could expect a gank here, because sometimes you can see in the movement of the people you're laning against, if a gank is about to set up, if they all of a sudden turn really aggressive towards you, you can call out saying, oh, I expect Pantheon to be here. Amazing came up, joined in for it. So it's a team effort, but also it's credit to Amazing himself, having great game knowledge. He knew where Jankos was most of the time, and he just managed to punish him for it.
This, of course, means Gambit continue to chase that top spot. They're going to be playing tomorrow. There's a lot of games happening. What are we seeing from day one of Week 7 so far from these teams?
The trend continues with every team more or less being able to beat everyone. We obviously have Fnatic, who lost again. But again, for me, Fnatic, it's just a matter of time before they actually win a game, get back on the horse. Maybe not tomorrow against Gambit, who's looking very, very strong. They had a great game. Copenhagen Wolves shows once again the shot calling, the decision-making have improved. So we actually see how good of a team they are, and we see the team who was really dominant in the challenger scene during the last year, showing up really big here. Subot crew need to, get a little bit more consistent. They still have some issues, but when they're playing good, they're playing really, really good. So far, a little bit too much up and down.
And I'm going to put you on the spot, because each week we do these OP players. What are you seeing? I mean, Amazing has to be like one of the forerunners, but let's think through all the other games that have happened today.
Amazing has definitely been a top candidate. Diamond Prox was really, really good.
Yeah.
Alex was very good in the game of Gambit. Both of them really impressed me. I have to actually give some credit to Unlimited in this game, because he was the main man.
I don't think he died. Yeah, 208, didn't die.
We've been after him so much for his deaths, and this time around he didn't even die. And he was the main engaged together with Amazing, and the laning phase, he was really, really dominant there. He shoved them out of the lane so much early.
And let's also talk about Forgiven on Jinx. Jinx win rate continues to just keep on climbing, despite the fact all these problems that all the AD carries keep saying that Jinx has, still keeps winning.
Due to the fact Copenhagen Wolves got ahead early on, we never got to see the team fights where Rocket could really use this double AP combo to actually kill the Jinx, punish the Jinx pick. So it worked out really well for him, because he won the laning phase, and then he could just more stay back whenever the team fights actually started.
And what do we think of mid laners? We've obviously seen the Lulu. Lulu seems to be the king of mid lane now.
More or less. Lulu
or
is
the queen, I guess
the
you
queen,
could say, or Pixie.
She's definitely a top tier pick. We see her being blind picked every single game, more or less. We had the first pick. That was actually going to Nif, because in the Alliance game, because they thought it would be Lulu on Froggen in the mid lane. Instead he picked the Karthus. But all in all, Lulu, you can blind pick it because you can lane against everything with it. This time around it was the Ziggs. It went even in farm until he started roaming, and then Ziggs went into the jungle, picked up all the farm. But just the fact you have so much impact mid-game, because you can roam around the map with speed yourself, you have a lot of damage mid-game, it makes it such a good pick. And also you can build combos around her, where you have something like a Jinx, where you have something like a Nocturne, a DPS jungler, a DPS kind-ish jungle, and then you have the Lulu to kind of provide the extra tankiness you don't have by yourself.
Well, nonetheless, it was a fantastic game by the Copenhagen Wolves. So let's check in with Shox and Quickshot, who are standing by with that amazing jungler.
Yeah, thank you very much, D-Man. Indeed, fantastic performance of you once again. Amazing. And it started off, of course, all with the pick and ban fades. A couple of special things coming out. What was your game plan?
Well, we practiced Nocturne a lot this week, and obviously we're going to get banned off the Castle as always, which has been banned like 60 times already. We wanted to have a strong early game mid that can pressure in some way and synergizes with Nocturne ganks, and that's something we found in Lulu. So we just tried to get those two and get a strong bot lane matchup, get the Trundle because Zazus also loves it to play, and get it away from him and get it on Youngbuck and have our best champions.
Before we talk a little bit more about Nocturne, you mentioned the Trundle. Were you anticipating the LeBlanc pick from Rocket, or did that catch you by surprise?
They caught us by surprise because Source has ran it already and he hasn't had too much success. So I thought they would know better, but apparently they didn't.
All right, now explain to us a little bit more of the Nocturne pick. We have been sitting on the caster desk saying it's a counter to Pantheon. Is this something you agree with? And if not, what's your decision for running the champion?
My decision making is like this. I think that Pantheon is a really low-skilled champion. Like, you have literally no skill shots, you have no outplay potential, so I don't like him. I have found an alternate version of him, that's Nocturne for me. It's not really a counter pick, but it's working well versus Pantheon.
Oh, do you mean Nocturne's also low skill level? Do you like that more? Or?
It has one skill shot, that is the Q, and you have some outplay potential in the W and the Fear, so it's more fun to play, so I like to run it.
Yeah, just a little joke there, of course. You said it was a counter pick, and sometimes it worked out very well for the first blood, then other times not so good, and we actually got a good thing to illustrate that.
Yes, we've actually got a replay that comes up at about 13 minutes. Let's pull that replay up onto the screen right now. At this stage in the game, we see Jankos. He starts a gank in this bottom lane. Now, I want to know, what was happening in your team's communication? You were just off on the side of the lane. You walked in because you didn't have your ultimate. Let's start the replay now and talk me through it.
Okay, as we see Pantheon ults in, we already anticipated that because we knew that they would do it because LeBlanc and Pantheon have great kill potential, so I was killed up on bot lane, but I didn't have ultimate, so I couldn't react as fast as I wanted to. Still got there somewhat in time. Our whole team communication was towards the bot lane, so Lulu also roamed at some point. We managed to take down Jankos as a return kill. I died, sadly, to Selva, and Morgana, she ults, as we can see soonish.
Now, talk to me a little bit quickly about this matchup. Is this something that you felt you could have done better, or was this just reacting to Jankos getting in there super quickly?
We could have done it way better because we had the thought process that he will gank bottom lane 100% because we just had this stomach feeling about it. I did not really react fast enough. Sorry to my bot lane, I guess, because they died. But yeah, like I should have been there earlier, and if that would have happened, we would have gotten out without deaths and probably getting 2 kills.
Yeah, and tell me then a little bit about what happened from there. You guys were building up quite a lead, but in true Copenhagen Wolves style, we weren't able to finish it out that quickly. So do you guys not notice that you're that far ahead, or how does that work?
Rocket just likes to ward a lot. We are kind of scared of Barons right now because we are thrown like 3 to 4 games with Barons. So we just step away from that. Luckily, at some point, we were able to sneak it 2-man and then have other people rotating on it. But it's really hard to finish versus a coordinated team, and Rocket is one of those.
So explain to me in a theoretical world, how do you overcome that going forward? Let's say you know that Rocket have a good vision control. You know that your composition is good in certain aspects. What would the perfect theoretical step be to overcome that slow mid game?
Well, we should have just done the play that we did eventually earlier, like sneaking the Nash, because we can have Jinx auto-attack over the Baron pit, I suppose, as well, or auto-attack from the other side, which they can't really oversee. We didn't do that. We should just be faster in decision-making and be a bit more sharp.
Tell me a little bit about your feeling as a player right now. You were, of course, crowned MVP last week. You did very good here again. Who do you kind of feel can make the biggest impact on your team in different situations? And might it be you?
Well, it's obviously mid and jungle in most cases because mid and jungle have the most impact during early to mid game. Forgiven in late game because he's just a beast AD carry. But overall, I'd say right now, if I play really bad, we lose. It's kind of the truth.
It's the same story for a lot of teams, I'm afraid. The jungler helps their solo lanes and the duo lanes a lot. I want to step back and talk to you about the different champions that you played. Lee Sin both games last week. You banned out Elise today. You ran Nocturne. On 4.2, do you still feel Elise is the #1 top-tier pick? Or do you think the likes of Pantheon, Wukong, maybe Nocturne are climbing up the ranks as well?
The thing is, no one of the top players has been able to train Elise at all in the solo queue, nor pre-med. She has been permabanned almost. She has been permabanned in solo queue, so everyone drops a mechanical skill upon her. That's how I feel, so I don't like to run anymore. Like to ban her more often than not. I will obviously practice it if I can, but right now it's pretty hard. And with 4.2, I think that the field has opened up, and I think it also already has opened up in 4.1. I think that Lee is probably the highest priority pick out of all, at least for me, and I think overall. And afterwards, everyone has a distinct feeling for it. Pantheon has found some playing time. Wukong, obviously. It's just personal favor, and I like to learn Nocturne over those two.
Talking about personal favor, Pantheon, Lee Sin, all champions that Aranea likes to play as well. Tomorrow you'll be going up against them as you'll be facing Millennium. How high are your chances to win that matchup?
I will win. I will win.
Strong words. Best of luck.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you very much. Great game here from you guys once again. And now we're going to rejoin Demon and the Fisho to take a look at the new standings.
Thank you very much, Shocks and Quickshot. Let's take a quick look at the table to see where the teams are now. So, in first place, we now have a tiebreaker. Gambit and Roccat are tied at 10 wins, 5 losses. Of course, Gambit picking up a win today means they are up into that spot. SK Gaming, well, they are now alone at third place with their victory today. They are now 8 and 7.
And then we have a three-way tie between Copenhagen Wolves, Fnatic, and obviously Super Hot Crew. They're all at 7 wins and 8 losses. And Copenhagen Wolves, they're now on a 3-game win streak, and Fnatic is on an 8-game losing streak. On 7th place, we have Alliance with 6 wins, 9 losses, and rounding up in the bottom, we have Millennium with 5 wins and 10 losses.
And of course, on Friday, we will be bringing you another full day of matches. Here's who will be going head-to-head. You get things started off, it's going to be the big game. Fnatic facing off against Gambit, a giant header of a match for tomorrow. And of course then, the Copenhagen Wolves, well, they're going to be facing off against Millennium. It was a 57-minute epic last time.
57-minute epic. Then we have Alliance taking on SK Gaming. For me, actually also one of the great matches because Alliance have been looking better. And then we have Super Hot Crew taking on Rocket, who really wants to win now. They've lost 2 games in a row. They were the #1 team pretty much all alone. Now they really need to win again.
And of course, that all happens on Friday at 7 p.m. Central European time. That is 10 a.m. Pacific. At the moment, we are going to have the Challenger Series games coming up here. I know yourself obviously were involved in IP last year. They are in that Challenger Series. They got to the finals. Cloud9 are in there as well. Ocelot World's new team, which is Gamer 2, I believe. We saw a beautiful video for that one. We're not too sure on the hype on that one. We'll see how they do. SK Prime in there.
Yes.
There's a lot of great teams in this Challenger scene.
And it's actually something pretty much every LCS team know because they scrim a lot of these Challenger teams because you can try out things that the other LCS teams won't
Actually,
notice.
a lot of things were stolen away from the likes of Cloud9 and NLP as well.
That too. Like LeBlanc top lane pick is something Zero has been doing for a long time. So all in all, these LCS teams, they know how good their Challenger teams are. And that's why also you really want to avoid going into relegation because you have no idea how, if you can actually qualify again.
Well, right now, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to see what those teams are like. It is time for the European Challenger Series to pick back up as they start the second half of the Spring Series. And this match, it makes me hungry, and it also makes me very careful with what I say. It is Steve Bakes Cookies versus the Fox Sound. Take it away, Riven's Irene.